Hello, Soden Bowl. Welcome to episode two, Sports Talk Radio with Soden and Alpha.
What's
Looking at
up,
the league,
everybody?
lots of activity, a lot of new users again since the last time we spoke last week. So welcome, new guys. Also, we have a couple new rules that we're going to discuss tonight. We're going to get right to it. Rule number one has to do with roaming. So those of you out there that take your linebackers or your safeties and say you're in a short zone and you want to maybe play free safety with them or do something that's kind of out of the realm of your basic coverage, it's not going to be allowed anymore. And I think Alpha can elaborate on that a little bit better than I can.
So, basically, a lot of leagues out there, what they have is a no roaming rule, and basically, it's very simple. Madden, unfortunately, allows you to be able to have your guys to where they can actually. You can cut off several routes with your middle linebacker safety. It's just not realistic at all. So we've discussed this rule, and it's very simple. And to be honest with you, if you use a symbol football on EA Sports, I mean, you're going to be. This is not going to be that big of a deal for you. Basically, what it is that if you're assigned to a certain zone, you're going to have to stay within that zone and maybe a little bit outside to the left, right, down, and up. But you can't roam around the field. So what we like to see is with the if you're in a zone, we like to see you strafe because that's kind of how your middle linebacker safeties stay within the zone. If you cover a guy and say he's a slot guy, you don't have to strafe. You just have to cover the guy. Now, one thing we're going to get a lot of questions about this, but one thing I want to kind of discuss is that if you do have one of those players, and just let's say, for example, he bites on the play action, you bite on the play action, you can go after the quarterback or you can run after your assigned route. So another, some of these questions that actually really good questions that had came up, one of them was, what if you switch that player's zone to a different assignment? Well, unfortunately, if you take that player and you switch his assignment, you're not allowed to user that player. So if you switch, say, the middle linebacker to a deep blue zone, you're going to have to play someone else. That just really alleviates a lot of the problem because you're going to have someone say, well, no, I wasn't roaming. I wasn't out of my zone. I switched the zone. You can't have that. So we're going to have to make it to where if you do switch the assignment, you're just going to have to user someone else.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I can see that. Like,
You're cutting out there. We can't hear you.
some leagues allow guys to move a safety to linebackers. So it kind of prevents that. I think we had one owner a couple of years ago who used to like to play safety with his defensive tackle. Oh,
Right.
I think that eliminates that. Kind of brings that sim feel back to the league.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you on that.
The other rule that we've got, this one's a long time coming here. If you have a problem inside the game with the guy that you're playing or the girl that you're playing, hit them up in a private message, direct message, pause the game, talk to them in private. Don't air your dirty laundry in public. Pull them aside. If you guys can't resolve that issue, then come to one of the staff members. There's a bunch of us, league commissioner, league officials. Let us know what's going on, but don't do it in the public chat. It's just not professional.
And the reason for that, I have to say that it alleviates a lot of the problems that you have. If you do have a problem, nobody wants to clutter the chat with a bunch of drama. I mean, it's really unnecessary. And what you have is you have a bunch of guys that are kind of talking, get in an argument. It can get heated. It's just unnecessary. So it's one of those situations where if you have an issue, log your game time. Like if you recorded the gameplay and you said this guy was running, abusing this and this, I timestamped it. It's got this time. Send it to one of the admins. And honestly, just try to talk to your opponent about it. Maybe pause the game and say, hey, look, bro, you're remember how that new rule about the no roaming, you're kind of roaming around, so let's cut it out. A lot of times, your opponent may take offense to it. That's when you have to get an admin involved. But it's really about just keeping the chat clean and not having a bunch of drama. And we're all here to have fun and play. So I think that's what Soden's wanting to kind of get across to everybody. So.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Kind of off topic here, preseason.
You're kind of cutting out there, Soden. I can't hear you over the. There is no desktop audio at this point. Soden? Soden, I can't hear you. You're not talking. Are you muted? Hello? There we go. I can hear you now.
Yep, I think I got disconnected there.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was talking about the preseason. I don't know how far you got at that.
No, you didn't get anything. I didn't hear anything. I'm sorry about that.
No problem. Yeah, so preseason's underway, guys. Week 1 is in the books. Outstanding job, those of you that got your games in. Stats look pretty good, so I'd say the sliders are looking pretty good. Interceptions are a little bit high. I think that's kind of to be expected. New game, kind of a tweaked engine a little bit. One thing that I'm looking at is maybe even reducing that minimum speed threshold from 25, maybe down to 0 again. Doesn't seem like we have too many deep balls at all. I don't see any blown coverages. So I'd love to hear what you guys think about that, see what you guys think of the current passing game, what you guys think of the sliders right now, fumbles, sacks, pass protection, running. Let's hear it so we can get those sliders tweaked for the regular season kickoff.
Yeah, and that's what this type of practice league is about, to kind of get the sliders down and make sure that everything's working the way it is. Soden's not going to know anything unless you guys tell him, so it's going to be very important that we use this opportunity to play our games and also make sure that we can fix anything that needs fixed. I do have to apologize because I haven't been the greatest about scheduling my game. I've just been really busy, but we definitely all need to kind of help out to get this in, and this is going to kind of set the tone for how the league's going to kind of run here. So let's all try to get our games in on that note.
Yeah, and Madden Accord brings up a good point here. He says 0 threshold. They have theirs at 30, and they have a ton of deep balls. Ours is currently set at 25 right now. Again, I have limited feedback on that. The little bit of feedback I have so far is the passing is really subpar right now. In my game that I've played, I had a couple deep ball shots. I took them, and I just didn't lead my receiver enough, so that was on me. But again, I'm the Patriots, and I don't really have any speedsters. Julian Edelman and Chris Hogan on the side. That's really all I had.
Right. And yeah, he does bring up a good point. We want to make it to where it's not like overbearing, but also where it doesn't take away from certain guys' speed, because speed we want it to matter, obviously, but to matter in a way where it's not cheesy. So.
Yeah, I mean, we want you to be able to capitalize on a defense's mistake. So if you have the Buffalo Bills out there, he's playing a man press and decides he's going to use that safety, and he bites on play action with the safety, then your wide receiver gets off a good jam at the line of scrimmage. We should see that receiver, if he's a fast receiver, faster than the corner, he should be able to pull away. So I'm not quite sure if we're seeing that yet at 25, but it's only week 1 preseason. We still got 2 or 3 more weeks left to go.
Absolutely.
I'd love to hear what the community thinks about it, though. I don't see too much feedback on the speed threshold or the passing game. I think I have 4 messages concerning the passing game, and most of them are actually about just not enough pass protection.
Yeah, and I'll make sure
But who did you play in your week 1 game, Alpha?
I didn't pay anybody. That's why I was doing my apology that I didn't get my game in. So I am setting a bad example for the community. So I do apologize, but I'll definitely. I got more time this weekend, so I'll definitely be trying to get that in because we all, I mean, at the end of the day, we all want to make sure that the game plays the way we want it to play, and everything plays the way it's supposed to. So, but yeah, that's my piss poor excuse. So
well, we have some new guys in the league too. We had about 5 or 6 guys who they requested a team. Then it came time to join the preseason league, just the test league, and they just were absent. They weren't active in the chat, so we replaced it with some new guys. So you new guys out there, you're going to get a chance to play here in week 2, and it's absolutely critical you guys provide us some feedback as to how you feel your game's going. Does it feel realistic? Does it feel arcadey? Was it just not fun? Was it too long and drawn out? Was the game too short? I heard that one week 1 that they felt the game was just simply too short.
How many minutes do you have it on?
So currently we have it on 8 minutes, but we have a 20-second bleed. It's kind of the norm. Okay. In years past, we've taken that bleed down to 15 because it kind of minimizes the amount of hot routes or audibles you can do at the line of scrimmage, because you really come out and you only have maybe 10 seconds or so. But the problem with a 15-second bleed is if you get a guy in motion, sometimes you get that delay a game penalty because that guy just didn't get set or he didn't get across the tackle before you snap the ball. So I think 20 works, but again, we need to know what you guys think. Is that game, is the game just too short right now? Or I know D. Soden, the Jets owner, kind of complained a little bit that he felt his game had absolutely no offense because by the time he started it was already halftime. So, right. Let's kind of take a look at stats, guys, and let us know what you guys think about the time. Should be longer, and let us know. So week 2 preseason is upon us. This week, I see we have a lot of trades going down now, and that's good. A lot of activity within this week. I'd like to see these games get played a little bit faster. And like I said before, I want to see a little bit more feedback from the community. And let's get a slider set in place so week 2, week 3, and week 4, we can kind of iron down the little settings.
Yeah, and I've seen some guys that were trading, and this is going to be interesting. I think, trading before the season starts, a lot of guys, I like it because I think a lot of guys, when they take a team and maybe it doesn't really fit the way that they want to play, they want to kind of take, trade off some players that's not really going to fit their scheme, and then obviously, maybe stockpile some picks or stockpile some younger players maybe that aren't fully developed yet, just so they can get the team that they want a little bit later down the road. I know what's interesting for me personally, and this is one thing I want some guys to talk about. Talk about your team. Throw it in the chat. We'll talk about it. Tell us what the current team that you have, what you like, or maybe if they fit your style, or if they don't, or what you're looking to do with that team. I'd love to hear about it. For me, this is the most fun part, is being able to team build and being able to get your team the way you want it. For me personally, obviously, I'm starting off with the Browns, so that's going to be a great team for me. I love the youth. However, one thing that I do not like about them is they're more of a 4-3 team, and I'm totally a 3-4 defense, and I've always been like that since going back to Madden 10. So I've always liked the 3-4, and for me, switching over to that 3-4, it's going to be hard because I don't have those defensive ends that are kind of like those power ends that you want that run, block shed and power move and stuff like that. Mine are kind of smaller, and I'm kind of struggling. So if anybody has any suggestions on what I could do to make that besides doing trades, I'd love to hear it. As of right now, what I'm planning on doing is taking using Jamie Collins and Myles Garrett and putting them as the outside pass rushers. Although Jamie Collins is going to be more of a coverage guy, I think. I'm moving Kirksey inside, so it'll be him, Schobert, and Kendricks as my middle linebackers, and then Ogba and can't remember his name. The white guy out of Penn State. They're going to be my defensive end, and that Ogba, Larry Ogba or whatever his name is, he's going to be my defensive tackle. So that's going to be what I'm looking to do, switch my team more over to a 3-4. But I'd love to hear thoughts on everyone else. What about you, Sod? What do you think of your team, or where are your strengths, or do they kind of fit the way you like to play? Tell us about it.
Well, I've always been a 3-4 Madden player, but there are certain times, certain offensive lines that I've come across that I just had to kind of use that 4-3. I just can't get in there, and they're just nickel and diming me for 3-4 yards at a time and kind of milking that clock on me, and then I just have a tough time sometimes out of 3-4. So I carry both sets in my defensive playbook. I will run 60 or 70%. For a base formation out of my 3-4. I think I have 4 or 5 sets within the 3-4 that I use. And then I carry about 3 sets inside the 4-3. If you were trying to scout me, I'd say that I tend to blitz more out of the 4-3 than I do the 3-4. 3-4, I tend to stay more of a base and just kind of rely on my linebackers to make a play for me.
Yeah. So you're kind of like a multiple, right?
Yeah, I basically run a multi-D defense, and then for pass, I like the nickel and the dollar are probably my 2 favorite pass sets to get some extra defensive backs in the field.
I gotcha. Yeah, and I I guess kind of one thing that I could see from your team is that you they're kind of older. Your defense is kind of older, and you got it like that older secondary, and you're probably going to have to rebuild the defense, in my opinion, first. But I do like the fact that the Patriots going into this offseason had some higher picks. So with the addition of Sony Michel, and then the guard out of Georgia, you've got some pretty good pieces there on offense, for when Brady retires. But it's going to be very interesting to see how you kind of turn the corner with that aging defense. So.
Yeah, the defense definitely has some years on it, but they do have playmakers, and that's huge. Rivers is a pretty good linebacker. He's got quick development, so he should be able to, kind of attribute up for me during the season. One thing I am very pleased with the Patriots is that running game. I was worried after they lost Dion Lewis that it was going to hurt me, this year in Madden, but the addition of Michel has been great. I think he may actually be my number 1 back when the season kicks off, because he's really outplaying White right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's funny they went after Sony Michel. There's so, like, if you look at the real draft, there's so many running backs that went, towards the top half of or not top half, but I guess the bottom half of the first round and second round and stuff. So, I find it interesting that you guys did go that route. So.
Yeah, no, definitely. I would say the biggest need for the Patriots right now, for me, is going to be some kind of speed at wide receiver. Losing Brandon Cooks was huge. Last year, Brandon Cooks was MVP caliber wide receiver talent for me in New England. He accounted for like 50% of my passes down the field. Losing him has really taken away the deep ball for me. I don't have that guy that you have to keep a safety over the top anymore. I have Dorsett. He's a 95 speed, but the guy can't catch anything. He drops at least 30, 40% of his passes I throw deep down the field. I mean, he just doesn't have the height to go up and get it. So you really got to be on your game to use your catch Dorsett.
Yeah, it's funny that when you hear about these trades in real life, and I'll give you a good example, is I really wanted Jonathan Hankins to sign with the Browns just so I could use him in the league. And one thing I find interesting is I'm like, oh, come on, sign. And I found out they're not going to sign you. But then, Dez Bryant is in town. So I'm like, come on, sign Dez. You kind of like root for the team to sign somebody before the league starts so you can have that team going in. And I'm sure when Brandon Cooks was traded in real life, you being a Patriots fan, I'm sure that affected you in a way where you weren't happy about it because of, Brandon Cooks leaving real life, but also how it's going to affect your Madden team. So I find that kind of interesting. So,
in real life, I was a huge Brandon Cooks fan. I still am a big Brandon Cooks fan. One of my good friends is a Saints fan, and he used to be in the league with us. I used to trade him, and then once the Patriots actually got Brandon Cooks, he stopped playing Madden. So he didn't
Right.
he didn't get the time to eat that crow. But with the loss of Brandon Cooks, I think I'm just gonna have to put my attention back to wide receiver. I'm gonna have to try to work up Dorsett, and I think the Patriots got a rookie wide receiver, kind of an Edelman type, but he's actually like a 90 speed. Barrios is his name. He's been good. His catching traffic just isn't as good as I'd like it. So we'll see what I can do with him. I may just have to play kind of my old school football, play the good defense, and run and throw some play action. Mostly a running team. We'll see. We'll see how the season goes for me.
Yeah, and one of the addition that I love the most in this Madness has to be the addition of schemes. I'm a big scheme guy. In real life, the whole way that the way that I play, I'm like that. Let's go by the scheme. What's that now?
I said schemes are huge. I'm still getting used to my schemes in New England, so we'll see how that goes. But I'm really interested to see some of these other guys' schemes, especially the Tennessee Titans with Dion Lewis. I want to see how the Titans use Lewis because I absolutely loved Lewis last year.
Yeah, that's another team that's going to be that was on a lot of people's radars when they were picking teams. The Titans, they've got that power running game with Henry, but then they've got Dion Lewis, who, correct me if I'm wrong, is more of a kind of like your one cut back and receiving back. So they've got kind of that switch in type of running game now.
Those of you out there listening right now, I'd like to thoughts on potentially playing against an actual NFL player for, I don't know, maybe a small prize. We're trying to work something up right now. May have season. Once it happens, I'm probably gonna pick out the most active owner, not necessarily the best owner out there. Some of you guys, I'm not quite sure which team he's gonna come from, so we're still kind of working those details out. When I know more, I'll let you guys know. But I may actually try to pull somebody who is either controlling that team that the player is coming from, or somebody that I know in the chat that is an actual fan of that team. So it's going to be an arcade style game. I doubt you guys are going to be able to try to convince an NFL player on how to play a sim game, but we'll do our best. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to broadcast that game for you. Also, those of you broadcasters out there, I have 2 broadcasters right now. I'd like to get 2 more of you that are interested in broadcasting games for us.
And just keep in mind on that note, guys, you don't have to be fantastic at it. This is something that we're doing for fun, obviously. We want to make it to where, if you've got like a really bland personality, I don't know if that's going to really work. But if you know football, if you like to talk football, I mean, dude, this would be a great opportunity. Like I said, you don't have to be a professional at it, but this is, we're trying to get bigger. We're trying to, advance this league and, be a full immersion league at the end of the day. Again, if you just like to talk it and you can watch the game, I'm going to be doing most of the production, so I can do the whole broadcasting of it. But we're looking for some guys that just like to talk football. It's really easy. All you have to have is a mic. Actually, you can even do it from your phone. We do it from the Discord app. So it's really easy. If you do want to do something like that, please reach out to one of the admins. We'd love to have you. It's a fun experience, and I think guys have fun calling, and it's really interesting because once you start to see 2 guys start to kind of connect after a couple broadcast games, and then they just know how to bounce off of each other, it's awesome, man. It's really an awesome experience.
Yeah, we've got some good graphics guys in the league too, Alpha being one of them. So we're going to work up some good graphics. Inside the game, you guys are going to be prepared. You're going to have standings, power rankings, various team stats. So you guys don't have to search those out. We'll provide them for you. And you guys just talk and have fun. And we'll try to pick out some games from the community that we can go ahead and broadcast. Maybe some divisional matchups or a couple really good owners facing off against each other. I think something like that will be a great idea for us.
It will, and for it to work, I mean, you have to have guys that can, just are willing to help out. Again, you don't have to have you don't have to know Photoshop. You don't have to know like all these different type of programs. It's really just about knowing. We can help you out with a lot of that. So just being able to willing to step up. A lot of these games we're going to have to schedule with the two owners that are playing in advance to make sure that they can, find out when they're going to play and kind of, set it up that way. Hopefully we can build an audience on that. We're going to try to build the Twitter market. We're going to try to build the, Twitch streams, the YouTube streams. So we're really wanting to try to get people out there that want to watch and want to be a part of this. So I think this can really grow. Again, you don't have to have a lot of experience, just willing to talk about the game. Usually you have somebody that's color commentary, talking about the play, talking about, what just happened and kind of breaking that down. Then you got another guy that's just play-by-play that's just talking, hey, so-and-so runs for 3 yards, and then you just kind of bounce off of each other. So, again, you don't have to be professional. But this is going to be fun. I think that this is going to be something, a lot of other leagues do it now, but we're gonna try to take it to the next level. I've got some interesting things that I've done for previous leagues that I want to introduce to our league, including draft shows, which would be amazing. So these would be live drafts. So if we set the live rookie draft for, say, 9 o'clock on a Friday. It's really hard to do unless you have some dedicated broadcasters who can help, but it looks like something you would see off NFL.com or ESPN.com, and we can, put your player up there and, talk about him and stuff. So we're wanting to do different things, but we definitely need help in that, and I can't really stress that enough. So,
yeah, the more the merrier. It's a lot of work to try to do it all yourself. Trying to create the graphics, put together the broadcast it, talk about it. Then, you're going to have 2 commentators at least per game. So, trying to do it all yourself is almost impossible. So the more help we can get, the more games we can broadcast, the cooler experience everybody can have. And it's just a win-win for everyone, I think.
Absolutely.
One other thing I'd like to touch on here, guys, is those of you that don't know, we run a fantasy football league on ESPN. We've run it since, I think, 2012. Those of you that are interested and you have not already signed up for the fantasy football league, if you look in the chat on the left-hand side under SB preseason, there's ESPN fantasy football. If you guys post in there and you want a team in there, go ahead, do that. Leave your email. We'll put together a small prize for whoever wins this thing. You also get placed in the Soden Bowl history up there for a Super Bowl win if you win that. The one catch is we play defense. So not only are you drafting offensive players, but you're also drafting players. So, it can be a lot of work. It's a longer draft. You do have more of a roster to manage. But if you don't have Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady at quarterback or Todd Gurley at running back, you still have a chance to win this thing because if you draft a good defense, you can win with a good defense.
So I want to apologize. I haven't been following the chat and the YouTube channel. I've been kind of trying to follow the Discord, but we've got some stuff going on in the chat. So Jimmy Bunting Bears, I like my front 7, but secondary, primarily quarters, will have to be built up. I love having dominating secondary. Roquan Smith is my building block, and I'd love to add another great linebacker to play with him. Offensively, I need to build my offensive line, my secondary, got to have a solid unit up front. Wide receiver, I need to find what I really have. Miller will be my spot, and Robinson will be my number 1. Love my running backs. And then Cy said, Chargers are not winning the AFC West in the Soden Bowl. And then Jimmy said, see how Trubisky develops. He's got like 2 years to prove himself. I love it, Jimmy. That's pretty awesome. I look at the Bears as a very, very fun team to use and to build, to be honest with you. So this is something that I'm excited about. I was actually going to pick them in another league, but they're really fun, man. Roquan is one of the only guys that has a superstar development, and then you got all these young guys. I love Leonard Floyd. I think he's going to have an awesome year. Then you got Aaron Lynch on the other side. They're built for that 3-4 defense. You can use Trevathan for a couple years before, as you can draft your own as you can draft your own middle linebacker. So I wouldn't worry too much there. But yeah, I think your weakness is probably like, the second or third wide receiver and maybe that offensive line. Trubisky is actually and I found this out the other day. He is the lowest rated starting quarterback on the game, which
Really?
I don't know if that's fair. Yeah, he's like a 74, and I think he's the lowest rated quarterback on the game. So he didn't have the greatest year, but I looked at his stats, and he's only, I think, 23. He's a guy you can develop, man. Just don't ask him to do too much. You got Jordan Howard and Tariq Cohen. I mean, you've got some solid running backs and Allen Robinson, receiving. So I think that could be a fun team to use. So
Yeah, it definitely could be. They play in a pretty tough division too. I mean, you've got the Vikings and you've got the Packers. Those are always two stellar teams to be in Madden. And then you've got the Lions. The Lions are a pretty decent team for a good Madden player to pick up. So I think he's got his work cut out for him there being Chicago. But you're right. He's got the pieces in place to really create kind of that dynasty out of the NFC North. So more power to him. I'm gonna keep close tabs on him there. You're right. He does have some good pieces. If he can get that quarterback position progressed pretty quickly, he can have a pretty darn good team there.
I totally agree with that. If you look at a lot of leagues, the Bears usually go first, or not first, but somewhere in that top 15 range. People like to use him. I mean, like I said, Roquan. Then they got James Daniel, the center. I think he's like a 74, 75. He'll be fun to use. I think he's a good piece that you can add to that offensive line later in the game. So it's an interesting team to use. And then it's funny because Uncle Creepy creeping in the YouTube channel, and he said Lamar will be a legend on becoming Madden legend. I don't know if he means overall or in the Soden Bowl, but that will also be interesting to see because everybody is riding high on this guy.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good piece to have. One other team I'm kind of watching here. I don't know if you guys are tracking this or not, but the Rams were open, and I think Philadelphia has them now. Philadelphia is a phenomenal user. This guy's got some good skills. He takes over a team that is just awesome roster-wise. Don 4021 kind of stepped away from the game. He's been here 2010 or 2011. He's probably going to get inducted into the Hall of Fame. He's only won one Super Bowl, I think, but he's just kind of been that active user that just keeps playing. Whether he wins or loses, he's always here. People that play him tend to have a really good game and have fun playing him. He's got a rivalry with Seahawks, who is the Seahawks in his division. So that Rams team opening up and then Philadelphia being able to kind of come in and grab him, I think that's going to be huge. I think that really kind of brings another powerhouse piece to the NFC. So we've got the Bears who are building that team up. We've got Barney with the Packers, Seahawks with the Seahawks. That NFC is looking tough. I'm really glad I'm playing in the AFC right now.
Well, yeah, and unfortunately, I can't really talk about the guys because I haven't seen anybody play. But I can tell you that I love watching streams, so I should be able to pick up on these guys and see who you can kind of watch somebody stream and you could tell who the I guess the more dominant player is. So it's gonna be fun, man. I'm excited, especially when you have a league. You don't know how anyone plays. For me, that I love it. That way you get to know people, and later, man, you get to develop those rivalries. And I remember being in the league, man, where I always had to switch up my playbook. Every year I would go into my custom playbook and I would switch it up just because I never wanted because now that you can watch streams, anybody can pick up on your traits or what you do or what you like to do. So I always try to switch it up every year. That way I never got reliant on one type of, pass or run or, whatnot. So I always try to mix it up, and I love that. That's my favorite part is game planning against another opponent. I'll say this, and I shouldn't even tell you guys this, but I will go into a stream and look at their archive VODs, and I will check out their last game to get a to game plan against that opponent. I know that's a little overkill, but I do that. So. and I am the only one in the voice chat right now. Looks like Soden was kicked or has left, so I'm not really sure what's going on. But kind of on that note, I mean, is anybody else interested in their team or want to talk about anything else? We wanted to really get in here and talk with you about the new rules and some of the sliders and what we're trying to do with this test league. From what we've gathered so far, I love watching. Oh, here we go. Soden, you're back in.
Yeah, sorry about that. Technical difficulties here in Colorado. We've got some extreme weather rolling in, so my apologies, guys.
That's okay. I don't know how much you got of that, but I was pretty much telling everybody that, like, I love the game planning side of it, watching streams, watching the VODs to game plan against my opponents. So I was just kind of rambling on a bit. So
yeah, no, definitely. There's a lot of new talent in the league too. So, I'm interested to see how some of these new guys do in the league. I know, I think it was the Tennessee Titans here. It seems like anybody that guy plays seems to quit the league. So he looks like he definitely has some skill. That kind of falls back on it. Look, guys, if you lose a game or you're losing a game, it's not a big deal. I mean, we play multiple seasons, multiple years. You're not going to win every single game. I mean, ask Seahawks that. He played me in the Super Bowl 16-0, and he got his butt kicked. So, you're not going to win all your games.
And one thing I want to also add to that, losing sucks. I'm not gonna like sugarcoat it. Like, if I get my butt whooped, it's not the best feeling in the world. I'll give you a tip. I'll give everyone a tip out there on what I like. I never talk in the chat during my games. I never chat with my opponent during the game. I hate that for some reason. I hate listening to someone complain to me about how the game's cheating them. I will say that what I do if I take a loss and and I'm upset about it, I take an hour, man. If I'm still mad about something and I feel like I got cheated somehow, I'm gonna go back and look, but I'm gonna wait an hour to kind of cool off and because you're on full tilt and you're pissed and everything. So I try to just kind of take an hour, chill out, go back, and a lot of times I'm like, you know what, this guy didn't do anything wrong. I just played like shit. So a lot of guys, again, if you go like 2-14, man, don't give up. You can always get better. And I'm sure everyone seems really cool in this chat. I'm sure a lot of guys would be able to work with you and help you out and help you get better, man. I'm not the best player ever, but I would be willing to help people out as well. I know the Houston, he's worried he's going to get thumped every game, but man, it's a fun community, man. This is what it's about. It's not about winning a championship every time. I know we're all competitive, but keep in mind the bigger picture of all this, and that's having a stable league and a stable community of guys that want to make this a better place.
Yeah, and we've all gotten Madden before, so. You may be on your
Absolutely.
A game. You might be playing a perfect game, and then the Madden curse hits you. It hits us all. It's just it's what you do after that kind of defines you. So can you kind of come back from that bad break? Maybe you get a series of bad breaks. You lose a game to somebody maybe you shouldn't have lost to. Hey, just kind of roll with the punches, guys. Just remember, it's only a video game.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Guys, I know let's try to keep things in the chat kind of chill right now. We don't want to go off topic. This is, if you have an issue, it's not who has a bigger, let's all just, we had just talked about keeping the chat clean, and we kind of go off topic there, and a bunch of guys start to get a little crazy. So let's stay on topic and stay on, on pace and everything, guys.
Let me ask you this, Alpha. Get back on subject here. If you are building a franchise in Madden, which you're the Browns, you're starting from scratch. What position matters the most to you?
I know this sounds crazy, and it probably doesn't matter as much in Madden, but I'm going to say left tackle.
Wow.
And the reason I say that is, you have to have a tackle that will block, or that will block for your quarterback, and that will open up holes for your running back. To me, if you don't have an offensive line, you might as well forget it. You might as well pack it up. To me, it's all about. And I know a lot of guys will say quarterback because it's easy to say, but you got to have somebody blocking for him. So for me, it's a left tackle. What about you?
Well, my traditional answer would be quarterback, but you're absolutely right. If you're a good passer, you can pretty much move the offense with almost any guy back there. It's when you start lacking weapons and that guy has no one to throw to. So I would probably say for me, a good wide receiver or a good tight end would be something to build around. Running backs, not so much, because I think if you kind of key on the run, you can shut that guy down, but you can't really just totally stop a passing game.
Yeah, that's true. I kind of feel that in Madden, you don't have to have an Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady type of quarterback to win games. And I think majorly because they don't use accuracy, it's not as important as it is in real football. I feel like a lot of guys they'll pick a guy out of the draft or 80 overall, and they're able to win that first season. But you're right. I mean, in real football, you have to have that quarterback, so you have to have that passing game and that field general to direct everything that's going on. So
I know in past Maddens, my favorite position or my most important position was middle linebacker. I had to have that premier middle linebacker that could just kind of take the middle of the field away, either on a passing game or running up the middle, and still have the speed to get to the sideline. And that was key for the first few Maddens for me, was that middle linebacker. I think as the Patriots, I actually had Brian Urlacher on my team for about 3 or 4 years.
I love the middle linebacker. It's like your quarterback on defense. It's that field general, and because of the way that people like to use middle linebackers in Madden, it's the position to have. So I agree with you on that. But for me, man, I'll tell you the team. If you take a team on Madden that you would like to use, one team the way that you like to play as a player. For me, it would be the Jags, because I love having that young defense, that shutdown corner, having a great front seven, and having a run game on offense, having that power run game. To me, I know Blake Bortles is not the greatest, but I feel like you can overcome that. But that, to me, is the type of that type of game that I love. That defense in your face, and then being able to move the chains on offense and being able to push the pace. So for me, that's the type of team I like to play with. Not necessarily like to use them, but use the Jags, but that's the type of team. If you were to use like one type of team on the game right now to fit your style of playing, what would it be?
Well, I would have to say New England, simply because I like New England, but missing those wide receiver pieces, I'm almost steering away from them for my favorite, maybe the Philadelphia Eagles. I like how that offense operates. The Houston Texans seem like a really fun team to use. They've got some weapons out there, some guys that can, get off the line of scrimmage pretty quick. The Kansas City Chiefs would be a fun team for me to use. I'd have to agree with you, Jacksonville. I'm a defensive guy, and the Jaguars defense, I guess you almost couldn't build a better defense.
Yeah.
Now
the only, I'll tell you what, though, and I'm not giving away any type of, I guess, secrets or anything, but for me, if I'm playing against their defense, I'm spreading them out. Because beyond Ramsey and Boye, they have their cornerbacks are like low 70s. So if you can spread them out, get maybe some mismatches. The only downside is Telvin Smith is an absolute monster against the tight ends and everything. So you'd have to have some good slot corner or slot wide receivers and stuff. But yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that.
Revisiting that question, now that I've had a couple minutes here to kind of think about it, I'd probably say the Atlanta Falcons and the New Orleans Saints would probably be two teams that I'd be interested in based off of what they currently have and what I like to do. I think having Alvin Kamara out there is awesome. Julio Jones and just about everybody on that Atlanta offense is phenomenal.
Yeah, I actually used Atlanta in a league last year, and I'll be honest with you, man. I was trying to get rid of Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. for one, the contracts were really big, and I was just trying to ship them out because I'm more of that power run game, and I love using Freeman and Coleman. But to me, the three biggest pieces are on defense. Not even kidding. Deion Jones, he has the speed and acceleration and has that youth. Same thing with Keanu O'Neal. And then Trufant. Those three right there were just awesome to build around for me.
Yeah, definitely. And New England's getting old, but they still have the pieces there. So, and some of the young guys, I know McCourty's getting old, Chung's getting old, but you look at they've got Harmon out there. I mean, they've got some young linebackers, some young offense, running back. The pieces are there for them to win for a while. The quarterback's kind of iffy, but like we said, you can kind of pick up a guy and go from there at the quarterback position.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. Hey, one thing I want to talk about. Let's talk about a couple of these trades that have went down thus far in the league, or even just at least proposed. Any trades that kind of stick out to you as being maybe great for both teams, maybe not so great? Anything that's kind of stuck out to you thus far?
Not really. I know. I'm not up to speed on some of the trades that are out there. I haven't seen any big names kind of go, so it really hasn't caught my eye. But I think once we see these guys playing during the regular season, we kind of see how these trades develop. I'll get a better judge from that. But it's kind of hard for me to look right now. Even my trade, I mean, I gave up a first-round pick for a fast wide receiver. And it's a win, I think, for Carolina. They got that first-round pick. Could be a win for me if that guy turns into anything, but let's say he just gets hurt, it's kind of a waste. So I'm going to wait and see.
I think that was a good trade for you. One thing I do notice with some of these trades is that it's funny because you got some of these teams that are just trying to have the older players that are just trying to kind of flush those salaries out and flush the age out and trying to get younger, and then you've got some teams that are just trying to get faster. So it's kind of interesting that you have both. I will say that I just finalized, well, obviously it has to get voted on, but I just finalized a trade with the Broncos, as you know, is one of the teams that's trying to get younger. I think on both sides of the ball, but we're gonna post this trade and see how it goes. But he actually has agreed to a trade for sending Chris Harris Jr., Shaquille Barrett, and Derek Wolfe for Duke Johnson, Terrence Mitchell, and Kendrick, which is the strong safety. So obviously,
I guess
go ahead. Sorry.
I guess that would be the blockbuster deal of the preseason then so far, sending arguably the best corner in Madden away.
Madden. I'm a Broncos fan, so I'm a little biased, but in my opinion, they didn't really do him justice. I think he's like an 87 or 88, but yeah, he's like 29 years old, and I think he's just wanting to get younger, to be honest with you. So, he's got two trades, and he said he wants to make the most of them. I'll be honest, I only wanted Shaquille Barrett at first, and he's like, hey man, I got two trades, let's make it worth it. So, yeah, that's kind of what he wanted to do there. So.
Yeah, no, that's a good deal. Denver, that would be SYHH. Yep. Good story about him is his first year in our league last year, he actually won Coach of the Year.
Wow.
Yeah. He just came out of nowhere. He had a good season, bad team. He got stuck with the Buffalo Bills. I think he didn't take them from scratch. He took over somebody else's team. They had traded away some of the pieces there, and he was able to put together a pretty good team. He stayed competitive, really fun user to play, good sim user, and he's got some skills.
Yeah, I'm excited to play him. So the AFC, I love playing guys. I mean, for me, my favorite is playing somebody that you have to really outthink. And even if I get beat, but it was just like a chess match the entire game, man, it does not get better than that. So hopefully, in the AFC North, we got some good cats there that'll play sim ball. So I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, no, I almost think that the NFC is a little more elite than the AFC right now. But again, there's so many new users that it's just really hard to say.
Wow.
Uh, like we have K2 who just took over the Bills. Nobody has any idea how good that guy is. We've got, Banana Montana, who seems like anybody who plays him just kind of quits the league after.
Wow.
And you do have Nate Hawaii, who's won the last 2 Super Bowls, sitting in the AFC, but he has the Colts. So we'll see. And then you have NFL Gordon out there, who's the Chargers, and he's probably got some of the best stick skills in the league. Maybe him and Seahawks. So, but again, he's the Chargers, so we'll see how that kind of pans out.
Pretty cool. So let me ask you, on that note that we're kind of back up a bit, where you said that season 1 he got, I think you said SY got the Coach of the Year. What type of, for the new guys out there and people that are just listening that maybe want to make Sodom Bowl their home, what type of awards can they look forward to in this league?
So we have a lot of awards, actually. You're going to get recognition on the website. If you guys win Coach of the Year, you're gonna find yourself in that history, and that'll stay there forever. We've dated back to 2009 with that history. Some of the things that we're going to be giving away this year are some Xbox products, thanks to GameStop. GameStop's going to provide at least one official NFL skin controller, so you guys will get to pick that. Cool. We're going to give away some cash prizes too. So those of you guys, you don't necessarily have to make the playoffs to win those. We tend to give those to people that are just kind of staying with the team. If you guys are super active out there, you're doing good with a wide receiver, and sometimes Madden doesn't reward you with a skill boost and a tribute boost. You might see an attribute boost from the staff out there, kind of recognizing that you're doing good with this player, you're active, and you'll be rewarded for it.
I like it. It makes it very interesting. And it doesn't – I like it because you're not just rewarding people that, are winning it all. The problem when you see those type of money leagues and people know that there's money on the line, then gameplay can get sketchy and some other stuff. So it's kind of cool that you guys have that. And, as the banner says, you guys have been around since 2009. So when you and I first chatted about this, and I wanted to bring some of the skills I have production-wise and graphics and all that, I was really excited because I was like, man, I need to find a home, and this league really seems to, and the chat is always active. I can tell you right now that, like, if you go in this chat, it's always active. Guys are talking, and most of the time, everything is cool banter. People are just talking about their players or, putting people on the, their players on the block and stuff. So really cool that you guys do that, I got to say. And I'm excited at the thought of playing or even watching one of our own players play an NFL guy. So that's really exciting.
Yeah, I'm extremely excited about that too. So I'm doing everything in my ability to make that happen and make that happen a couple times. I don't want it to be a one and done thing. I want it to be something that we can build on, and you never know, you may get a guy back in here playing and go from there, but we'll see. But yeah, as the season gets going, you new guys out there, the best advice I can give you is just keep playing. You may be an elite player and you have nothing to worry about. You might be a guy who's not quite so elite and you're having a tough time winning football games. Just keep playing, just keep getting better. The more you play, the better you'll get. You'll learn things from your other opponents instead of taking the attitude of Madden kind of gave you a rough one in this game, or you got maddened, or the guy took advantage of something flawed in the game. Look at what they're doing. Look at what your opponent's doing and learn from it. If he's gashing you for 400 yards, what are you doing wrong? What is he doing to gash you for 400 yards, and how can you incorporate that into your offense? So I would suggest you guys take more of a learning approach if you're struggling early on. Those of you guys, again, if you're elite and you're winning, hey, good job, man. But let's remember, it's all about playing sim football too. So I don't want to see any of those YouTube offenses out there, guys, just kind of taking advantage of a flawed mechanic in the game, because guess what? It's going to end up getting banned, and then you're going to have to find a new strategy to win.
Yeah, and another thing to kind of go with that is that, guys, if you guys have rules that you want to talk about or discuss and stuff that we can make do to make the league better. We should even, in my opinion, we should make a channel for suggestions. Have guys, post in there, hey, I'd love to see this implemented. Can't guarantee it's going to get implemented, but I can guarantee you we'll talk about it. And it's something that if it makes sense for the league and it makes sense for the entire league to build and be a better league, we'll definitely look into it and maybe even vote it in. So if you guys have any suggestions, this is your league. You guys, without good users and a good community, this is nothing. This is not a good league. So you guys have to help out and make it a better place. So we'd love to hear the feedback, good or bad,
Yeah, and I want to reiterate another thing, and that's professionalism. Look, you lose a football game, guys. What you do in your own time is between you and whomever is chat among all. So if you throw a fit in the chat, one, you look silly, you look immature, and you're probably not going to last in the league. So let's have some professionalism. I'm not saying anybody out there has done that or is going to do that, but let's remain professionals in here. It's a game. We're all here to have fun. Nobody's getting paid for it. Not yet anyways. And, we're here to have fun, guys. So be a professional. If you win, tell your guy good game. Pick out something he did good. Hey, look, I know I won the game by 56 points, but hey, Seahawks, you could probably throw the ball a little bit better. Yeah, I'm just joking. I don't think I've ever beat Seahawks by 56 points. I don't think I ever will either, but I think you guys catch the drift. Just have some fun. Be a professional. Help your brothers out in the chat. Mind you do have some females in here too, so you guys out there watch kind of what you say in the chat, in the public chat. Don't be offending anybody. And if you have a problem with somebody, hit them up in a private message, a direct message, as Discord calls it. Direct message that person, talk to them. If you guys can't solve it, bring myself, bring Alpha, any one of the staff members in here. We'll talk it out with you guys, and we'll keep it between us. We don't have to, bring it out into the public.
Absolutely.
So we all make mistakes. Let's just kind of drive through them and correct any mistakes that we make.
Absolutely. No, I couldn't have said it any better. And to add on to that, keep in mind the bigger picture, guys. If you lose and you're mad about it, you're mad at maybe your opponent didn't play the way you thought, or Madden screwed you the way you did. Think about the bigger picture, okay? One loss isn't, even if you get 10 losses in a year, just remember there's a bigger picture to all this. Good leagues, good solid leagues are really hard to find. So just, take it, and you have your Zen moment, if you have to go outside and yell and scream, do that. I'm telling you, that's what I do. I rarely complain about gameplay, but when I do, it's because I've waited an hour or two, and I've went back and looked at film. If I still feel like there's something there, then I'm going to say something. But if I go back and I look and I'm like, you know what? That was me, man. Or that was Madden. Or that, whatever. There's no reason to throw somebody under the bus. So just, try those steps and, kind of work from there. Because, again, we're all competitors, we're all, we all want to win. So that's you couldn't have said it better. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, and it's gonna be represented in the rule books, guys. It was a rule before, and I kind of took that out. But noticing a couple of the preseason games that we had early on, it seemed like that may have been an issue. So we're gonna put that back in the rules. Hopefully, we don't have to enforce it. Hopefully, you guys got the message, and then we'll move on, and then kind of come back to coming full circle here. That first rule about roaming, that's going to go into effect now. It's going to get written into the rule book. It's going to become law. So, guys, start practicing that in preseason. If you'd like to take that linebacker and you're playing middle safety with them, it's probably not a good idea to do that anymore. You're going to get called out for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else you want to go over while we're on here, Soden?
Yeah, I've got one more thing in closing, guys. So the strategy for the radio show coming forward here is we're going to be talking less about the mechanics of the game and what our league is about, and we're going to start talking more about what's going on inside the league. So week 3 of preseason, you're going to see a power rankings. We're going to go over that. We're going to go over all 32 teams. So you guys make sure you're playing. Otherwise, I'm not going to have any information on you guys, and you're not going to get mentioned in the radio show. So again, we're going to have more game oriented feedback, and we're going to have, we're going to interview a few of you guys too. So some of you guys that want to be on the radio, you want to talk about your team, you want to talk about rules, you want to talk about TV, it doesn't matter to me. Those of you that want to be involved, you're going to get onto the radio. So hit me up in private, let me know. We're going to come out with a solid radio schedule for you guys and a little bit more content that's league oriented versus kind of website oriented. So in closing, I'd say, let's get that activity up, keep it going, and see where it goes from here.
Yeah, and just keep in mind, guys, as this show progresses, we may have different type of shows. I would like to go from it being sports talk radio to an actual sports talk show. I would like to see this kind of progress into like an NFL Live type of show where we can do some graphics, some highlights. We can have the overlays on the side, the banners, going over the power rankings and maybe some key injury trades. Keep this in mind, guys. We want to talk about the league in general. So like you said, bringing people on, bringing on guests. We want to make this as immersive as possible. We want to do all this to make sure that you guys stay engaged, the entire league stays engaged, so that way we can play year-round. We want to be a year-round league. We want to keep this fresh and innovative, and we want to keep you guys, coming back for more. Even though you lose, you're just immersed into the full experience that Sodom Bowl has to offer. So.
Yeah, very, very well said. So, guys, get those games in week 2. Watch out, because Swing on These is on it when it comes to the dance. So if you miss a day, I'm sorry, because that guy will advance it on you. He's all about keeping that activity up. So get those games in. Let's have some fun. Let's get some feedback, and see you next time.
Absolutely. You guys have a great one, and thanks for tuning in. I will post this on my YouTube page. Eventually, we're actually going to get this onto the Sodom Bowl YouTube page. We're having some kinks that we're working out. But as of right now, subscribe to my channel. Share the video, like the video. That way we can push it over when we get to Sodom Bowl, and we can get those guys, we can get that channel subscribed with all our viewers, and that way we can just keep the ship going and keep growing it. So thanks for everybody tuning in, and you guys have a good one.